Look at those ones over there.
The waves.
Yeah.
I can honestly say that I have never appreciated taking little breaks like this as much as I have since starting the business. I will fully hold my hands up and say that running a business is a million times harder than I ever thought it would be. Although this break was lovely, you best believe there were a lot of times where I'm continually checking my phone, checking Instagram. William has to continually check me for doing this, and I'm so grateful that he does, otherwise I will end up in a bit of a hole. I never want to convey that doing something like this is easy, because it definitely isn't, and I know how much I've struggled with starting a business and running a business, and it's definitely glamorized online, and I never want to contribute towards that fake glamour, because if anything it's just an extreme mental battle. One of the things I've found the hardest is the continual demand to be online. If you work in the content creation space, you'll know that things are just changing so drastically. It feels like when I finally get the hang of one thing, everything changes, and then all of a sudden it's really different. So that's been really difficult for me to just keep on top of, especially when I'm trying to learn so many other things to do with just generally running a business. So going on breaks like this, where it's a very deliberate intention to disconnect as much as possible, is really, really important, and I am so grateful that we get to do these kinds of things.
Can you close it properly? Yeah.
I am packaging up some orders today, and I thought I would talk you through our packaging, because it's one of the things that we are definitely most proud of within our brand. It took a really long time to develop this box, but we're so happy that we stuck it out. It was what we think is a great investment. Our boxes are made out of mushrooms, so this is them here. So we've got a little lid, and we just have like a little J in here for jeweler, and then we've got the inner part here, and within that we have a little cornstarch insert which just fits in here beautifully. So the reason that I wanted something which was, I guess, not only recyclable, but you can actually put the mushroom boxes into, you can put them in your garden, you can put them in your compost. The same with the little cornstarch, you can put that in your compost as well, or just generally recycle it. There's a few reasons why we went down this route for our jewellery boxes as opposed to going down a bit more of a traditional route. The first one is because when we were packaging up to emigrate to Australia a few years ago, and we were packing away all of our things and obviously trying to sell a lot of things as well because we were selling our house, we were just sort of confronted with the sheer volume of things that we had in our house that we really didn't need, things that we had just gathered over time that we just didn't think were much use to our lives anymore. And I found that whole process of clearing through everything quite exhausting, and it was definitely something which made everything a lot more difficult. When it came down to designing something that was going to come into this world, I thought it would be great if it was something that could be easily... Oh, it was my Look Fantastic parcel. Maybe I could go through this after I've done explaining about my jewellery boxes. Where was I? If we were going to bring something into this world, new product, whatever, we thought, wouldn't it just be great if it was something which could be gotten rid of quite easily as well, so that it didn't occupy a lot of space in people's lives? And that's just something coming from quite personal experience. Another reason is because when I worked with my mum for over 10 years in her jewellery business. For those of you who don't know, she's been making jewellery for over 40 years. So over that time, she's gathered a lot of clients, and all these clients have gathered up a lot of her boxes over the years. When a lot of them were clearing out their houses, they would come back to us with the boxes and say, do you want these back? Obviously, we didn't really want them. They were sometimes mostly dirty, so we can't reuse a dirty box for a new piece of jewellery. And quite often the charity shop didn't want them either. So we just thought, that's like a big pile of 10, 15 boxes. What happens to them? The client doesn't want them anymore. You can't donate them. So where do they go? I thought, wouldn't it just be great if there was a jewellery box that existed that you could really just either keep if you're sentimental like that, insert a picture of what somebody is currently doing with their box, just making, you know, a sort of focal point on their bookshelf, which is pretty cool. But if you're a bit like me and you don't really want too much extra clutter going on in your life, then I think these are just perfect, because you can just get rid of them in the compost, in the recycling, and that's you done. You're just left to wear the piece of jewellery and enjoy it. So yeah, we are beyond proud of our little mushroom boxes. I must give most of the credit to William. William is my husband, he's the co-founder of JUILOR, and yeah, he developed the whole product with the company who made these for us. He has a background in fabrication, so he really knows what he's doing when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'm more just like, hey, I want a jewellery box that's universal and looks good, and you can put it in your compost bin, and then I just pass it over to him and let him do all that kind of stuff. Something else that we pop into our packages as well is this little card. Now, this was an idea that, well, I thought it was my idea, but William claims it was his idea, so we'll just say it's a 50-50 idea. Our whole brand is really about connection and connecting deeply with the pieces that you get. I think we've been living in quite a long time of throwaway culture, things really being just quite quick and cheap, and therefore you don't have enough time to foster a connection with something. A really quick purchase, it maybe really wasn't what you wanted to begin with, and then you end up getting rid of it because you don't really like it. So we're really trying to encourage people just to connect a little bit more deeply. And I do think that's something, you know, we all know connection across the board is what's missing right now. Connection with ourselves, with each other, you know, so I think it's just something that we thought was really important, and we really wanted to bring that through in the brand as much as possible. We have these cards which we put into all of our packages. It just says, how does this piece make you feel? And then it says, take a moment to write down on the back of this card. So basically it's just like a little blank thing, almost like a little diary entry. So, you know, we had someone who said, these pieces make me feel empowered. You know, if it's, you're buying it as like a self-purchase, it's something that's making you feel really strong and confident because you went and you like earned your money and you bought that thing and you bought it for yourself. So that's something that would make you feel really empowered. It could be, these pieces made me feel really strong and confident because they're reflecting, you know, yourself and your sort of individual sense of self. I just thought that would be a really nice way to infuse a little activity into the package, you know, so you open it up, you're quite mindful with it, and then once you've worn it, you can sort of write down and take a minute and then just share how it makes you feel. random unboxing this in the toilet, but it's where it all gets kept anyway, so not really the most exciting order, to be honest, but I do like watching other people do this, so we'll just go with it. So I've been trying to keep quite a pared back skincare routine for a long time now, basically just using an exfoliation. So I love using this stuff. I've been using this for quite a few years now, mainly because it just lasts so long. It's also a great product, but it lasts so long as well. I usually need to get a new one, maybe like once every 6 or 7 months, so it's pretty good. So I'll exfoliate, and then I'll do maybe a little bit of rose water, and then I'll just do a moisture, and then I'll lock it in with an oil. I love using, I don't know how you say this, Nux? So I'm nearly done with this one. I usually always get the original, but I decided to get the pink one because it had a lot of good reviews for the scent. I think it's got like a sort of orangey scent to it. So yeah, I'll try that one out. Oh, it does smell nice. I always like doing like something with a new scent when the seasons change, because it just reminds you of like hope and sun and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm lying when I said all I do is exfoliate. That's not true. I also cleanse. So I like to use the Velleda for my head is just gone today. For my cleanser, I think this one's really good. I only started using this a few months ago and I really rate it. I think it's very nice, and I just use the Skin Food Light for my moisturiser, and that's my routine. That's all I do.